Hi, everybody. Here we are, distance learning. Tough times, weird times. I hope you're all well and taking care of yourself and washing your hands and all of that, and everybody around you is fine and not having too much of a hardship. Anyway, this distance learning business, here we are. I'm back online. I did this a long time ago, and I'm sort of back doing it again. I'm not really used to it. I like having people in front of me, but here it is. I know it's spring break, but I also figure we have some time here to sort of get, the ball rolling and keep it rolling. After all, look, the bottom line is everybody wants to get a good grade, right? Everybody wants to do well and get, finish this course and all that. So, to that end, I'm going to make a series of these videos, as many as I can. And they'll be relatively short. I'm not going to make them the full class period time. I just want to have them little nuggets of things you can go back to and look at again. You can stop along the way. And you should also try to make yourself comfortable. I know I am. I'm in my office at home. As you can see, my book's behind me, and there should be music behind me, if you can hear it. Anyway, when you go to listen to these things and watching me, such as it is, make yourself comfortable. You'd have a cup of tea or coffee and have a sandwich and put your feet up, have some notes, take notes, and try to, do have your whatever essentials you need. Like, for instance, today I'm going to ask you to get a copy of that sample essay that's up online to have in front of you. So I'm going to refer to it. This first one, so we can talk about what's in front of you. And if you've got it in front of you, all the things that I'm going to be talking about, you should have in front of you at all times. They're all easily gotten either from the textbook or from an attachment that I have on Moodle or Blackboard, and just it makes things so much easier. By the way, this video I'm making is for a number of my composition classes. The two that I have at Adelphi, hello Adelphi students, and the one that I have in CUNY, Queensborough Community College. So I'm talking to all of you. That's why when I say Blackboard/Moodle, it's because Adelphi uses Moodle and Queensborough uses Blackboard. But they're ultimately the same apparatus. So, and I'm doing the same course for both classes. I have notes. You should have notes. If you don't have the sample essay, you should pause the tape right now and go either get it on another screen on your phone or download it, have it in your hands, whatever it takes to be efficient in this case. Your next essay is an argument essay. Now remember, none of these rhetorical patterns like description and comparison or any of them are all exclusive. They all mingle with each other. You can do an essay that uses all of them. And certainly argument, which is not really a rhetorical pattern, they tell me, it's more one that includes others. So argument is the next one. So a couple of things about argument. These are all things that I would normally write on the board, but without a board, here's where the note-taking comes in handy. So argument is when I usually ask a question, right? What does an argument need? It needs at least two sides, at least. And I say at least, and I'm stressing at least because, especially in my classes, I'm looking for the alternative view of things. The world is not binary as far as I'm concerned. There are so many other ways of seeing things. So, this does not have to be an essay that deals only with right and wrong, pro and con, good and bad, up and down, agree, disagree, all those things. It can be another perspective that we hadn't thought of before and that you want to present to us as a writer to us. So please don't think that way. I also like whatever topic you end up choosing to be something that is current, something that you care about, and it doesn't have to be some huge thing like the election or global warming or something like that. It could be something much smaller than that, something that's local in your neighborhood. whatever it may be. It could be something. It shouldn't be too small, but it should be like that pothole out in front of your house. But it should be something that you care about and that you can find sources about. So that's the first thing. So think about that. That's the topic you want to be thinking about. And again, the word argument implies some sort of adversarial attack on something. It can just be any topic that you can imagine someone else disagreeing with you about. That's it. So it can be anything. And you could, I had a girl, I think I might have mentioned this at some point. I had some girl in my class who was arguing that the color purple should be removed from the spectrum. She wrote a wonderful paper. It was insane, but it was wonderful. And it was fun to read. And she took a real important stance on how the mood of the color and all that. So that was a little bit creative, but off the wall. But it was something to think about. That's the first thing. So an argument needs to be something that is that you need at least two or three, four sides to. You might, in thinking about this, and I know that thinking about topics is oftentimes a problem for people. One of the things to do is to think about why we bother to argue at all. For instance, one reason why we argue is to win a dispute. For instance, the drinking age in New York is 21. It used to be 18 when I was your age, when I was a kid. And so here's another question I would ask the class. How many of you would prefer the drinking age to be lowered to 18 again or stay at 21? And if any of you are thinking to yourself, well, I'd love it to go down to 18, ask yourself why. And there's two ways to go. One of them's right, one of them's wrong. So if you say, well, they're going to drink anyway, let's just lower it. That's not really an argument, and I'll tell you why. Because if the question is, should it be 21 or should it be 18, and you say they're going to drink anyway, then you're eliminating the argument. You're saying, I don't want to discuss this. I'm not going to choose a number. They're going to drink anyway. But the argument would be why you would choose an age. And so that's not an argument. The right answer, for instance, in this case would be, well, if you can get married and drive a car and vote and be in the armed services, etc., then why can't I have a glass of wine if I feel like it? And so that argument makes more sense because there seems to be an illogic to it. Now, that's one way of looking at it. You can also argue, heck no, leave it at 21 no matter, because of all kinds of reasons that insurance companies can tell you about, like, the accident rate with drunken drivers is enormous compared to older people, which is why your insurance is so high, and it'll get lower as you get older. That's though it's to win a dispute. Another reason why we argue, the most common reason, is to persuade. Again, think in your own life without talking about fighting. By the way, I'm using the word argument in a very intellectual way, that is opposing ideas, not fighting with someone, calling people names and all that nonsense. So persuasion. Think of the most recent time in the past couple of weeks when you have tried to get someone to do or think a certain something that they're not, to convince them of something, to sort of make them do something or think a certain way. That's persuasion. What did you do to get them to do that? You used all kinds of it. You told a story, you used statistics, you maybe even raised your voice, which you can't really do in the essay. And stuff like, you just do things so you mix the rhetorical patterns together. You can compare. You can do all kinds of things. So that's what I mean about mixing up these rhetorical patterns. So persuasion is one. Certainly we see people, advertisers try to persuade, politicians try to persuade. Ministers and other religious leaders try to persuade. Certainly, our parents and your professors try to persuade you to think a certain way. I want you to think critically. I'm trying to persuade you to do that. To refute, is also to change behavior. A third way, reason why we argue, which is the same as persuasion, except that it wants you to do something physically. For instance, you should brush your teeth after every meal, get 8 hours of sleep. Don't wait to the last minute to do your essays. Don't drink and drive. These are all behavioral things that I might want to argue that you do or not do. And you can refute theories. Those of you who in other courses who are taking classes where there are theories, whether they're medical theories or they're political science theories or social theories or psychiatric theories, whatever, you can take one of them and you can say, okay, I'm gonna argue this particular theory, creationism versus evolution or whatever. Pick something. I'm sure you have a lot of them in your other classes. So there are reasons why we do this. So all I need you to do is to just consider these things. Think about any time during the day or the week when you get involved in a conversation that is, again, not necessarily a heated conversation, just one where you are at odds with someone else, where you are thinking about, I don't agree with this person and I'd like them to think my way, or you'd like them to at least think another way or do something other than what they're doing. And it could be something you read in the paper, you read online, you heard in the classroom, you have with your friends in the dorms, or on your friends and your buddies, whatever it is, anything at all can help this, you think of a topic here. There are essays that we're going to read. Keep in mind, these essays are in your textbook. We have a couple we're going to use there. And there are a number of them that I've already saved a link for, and I'm going to start attaching those links to Blackboard and Moodle, so you can just click on them and open them and read them. They're all very short. The first one is called The Hopper, that's Hopper, The Hopper Landscape. That's not there yet. I'm going to put that up probably today, and you can read that. We'll talk about that at another time. In the meantime, so that's the assignment, this whole argument assignment, and you can already, I'm sure you're already thinking, you can use comparison depending on your topic. You can use description, you can use definition, you can use narration, you can use all kinds of other, whatever it takes. Think of how you try to win an argument anyway. What does it take to win an argument when you're having an argument with someone? You'll do anything to win the argument. The paper itself is, and here's where you should be in possession of the sample research paper. It looks like this. I yellowed this already with my highlighter, but it looks like that. It's a terrible thing. Anyway, it's called Aliens. It's fun. We're not going to read the whole thing. I only want to look at the first page. So if you've got it in front of you, fine, we'll just proceed. If you don't have it in front of you, here's the time to press the pause button and go get it, whether you get it on your phone or your another iPad or a computer or something. So I'll wait. And we're back. Okay, so it's hard to do this without you seeing it. So I'm just going to say these things in the hopes that you will either listen while you're looking at it now or play this back and go over it. This is called an annotated sample research paper. Annotation meaning all of those little boxes on the side that point to various things in the essay. Now the essay goes on for 3 pages, 2.5 pages. It's a pretty good essay about aliens. It's fun. It's hard to find a fun essay with this process here, but the first thing it tells you is the Modern Language Association. Now, we've been doing Modern Language Association format all semester, MLA. So there's the double spacing, there's the 12-point font, there's no title page, there is a title that you underline, and it tells you to do all that right up on the top of the page. So just keep doing what you're doing in that sense. 12 to 14 point font, by the way, that's just me. It suggests that you italicize the titles of books or magazines. Um, Certainly, that's possible and it's allowed, but we also accept just capitalizing it is fine as well. But they want you to italicize it, I guess, because we have technology that'll do that so easily. Again, it's hard to show you this, and I think we might have done a little bit of this in class, but if you've done a research paper in high school, remember how you did it. It's very simple. You're going to quote something. It's really nice. I'm only looking for 2 to 3 quotes. Really no more. I'm not looking to overload these essays with somebody else's work. Secondary sources. Sources other than you. You're the primary source. So anything you get that you can quote is secondary. So it's magazines, newspapers, novels, things from the internet, whatever, interviews from people who are useful in this. Keep in mind, this is important. I am looking for secondary sources that support or illustrate what you say. And I'm looking at the quality of those. I'm not looking for some .com silliness like, Billy from Omaha says, I agree. That's not support. That's just Billy from Idaho with nothing to do. So look online and try not to go for the very first thing that pops up on Google or wherever it is. Try to look through them. You'll really find better sources for your topic. The other thing to remember about looking for sources is to try to look for things out of the box. So if you want to write about the drinking age, which you can't do, by the way, let's just get that off the table, shall we? You might want to look at not just arguments about the drinking age. You might want to look up secondary sources about car insurance and why it's so high, or addiction to alcohol, alcoholism, and things like that. Other things that are sort of tangential on the outskirts of the topic, as opposed to going right for the topic. That might give you a lot of variety too with what you're going to be writing about and help you actually make your argument better. You might have, in fact, change your mind about your argument if you do a lot of reading about these things. So just look outside the obvious first knee-jerk reaction to a topic. Try to find something more unusual. It really can help a lot. And look up all your terms and things like that. So when you do this, there's 2 ways of doing quotes in your paper. One is to simply write, as you're writing your essay, when you come to a quote, with the quotation marks, type in the line. Shouldn't be too long, 1 or 2 sentences. Close the quotation marks, and then after the quotation marks comes the parentheses. Something's got to go inside the parentheses. Traditionally, it was the author's name and it was a page number, but because we've got the internet, sometimes, obviously, there is no page number, so forget it, you can't put it in. Other times there is some sort of a name. Now, if there's no name of an author, you got to put something in there. You got to put like the name of the website or the name of the page it's on the website. Here's what you should never do. Never put that long URL number in there. Okay, that doesn't go. That doesn't really go anywhere unless we request it. I don't even want that on the works cited page. Just forget that. So figure out what goes, and that's what goes, and then you proceed. That's it. If you must, I'm not asking for this, but if you are compelled to put like a small paragraph in your essay for support or illustration, then that gets indented a little bit more. Okay, you normally indent your paragraphs. This gets double indented, and it becomes single spaced. So it's just sitting there like a little box. There's an example on the page I'm looking at here from this aliens essay. And this way, you don't have to put quotes around that. That's just sits there. We can see it's a quote and live with that. And that's it. I'm looking. Don't forget, I'm reading your work. I'm not really concerned with the secondary sources in terms of content. I like them. I'm going to read them. But I'm more concerned with what you have to say and how you use the secondary sources to make your argument. That's what I'm looking for. So don't think I want to see lots of secondary sources. That doesn't do anything for me at all. The last thing about this, there's more in here. Quotations can be a few words. There's also the temptation to paraphrase. Now, paraphrasing is a weird thing. It's really just putting something you've read into your own words and then using it in the essay. Now, that's fine. It's a judgment call, though. That is to say, paraphrasing doesn't mean just go and you change two words in a quote and then put it in yourself. It means you've read something, you've read an article or two, and you basically know what it's all about, but you don't need to actually quote the words verbatim. You just want to give us the information that you learn. Here's where your judgment comes in. If you think that what's in that paragraph, that you couldn't have really gotten it and written that paragraph without the help of the secondary source, then at the end of that paragraph goes the parenthesis with a name as a source, even if there are no quotes. And that tells the reader that, okay, I'm giving credit where credit is due. This paragraph was really helped by this secondary source. Again, I'm not suggesting that. I'm suggesting that you only use actual quotes, 2 to 3 maximum quotes in your paper. That's what I'm looking for, from 2 or 3 different places. The works cited page is a separate page. It says works cited. Somebody in your life is going to say, oh no, your professor probably wants a bibliography. Not looking for a bibliography. The difference between a bibliography and a works cited page is, let's say you read 10 articles. All 10 articles get listed in your works cited page. But you only quote from 5. Those 5 go on the works cited page. So if you want to give me a bibliography, go ahead. But you also need to give me a works cited page. I need to know where those quotes came from. Now, there's an app called EasyBib, B-I-B, that will do this for you. The works cited page is basically a location page or an address page. It tells me where you got the quote. It tells me, who wrote it, what article you got it from, what newspaper or article online you got it from, what page it was on, the date. The forms change a little bit depending upon where you get them. So an interview has a different format than a newspaper or a magazine or an online article or a government document or something. And that's what EasyBib can help you with. There are countless things online. EasyBib is the most popular one, I understand. There are books you can buy in the bookstore that tell you how to do this. It's not hard. Again, that big URL number is not what I'm looking for there, because that's going to be tempting. Someone's going to say, just put down 2 or 3 links, and you'll be fine. I'm not looking for that. So there it is, and then you alphabetize those, and you're done. Okay, so it's just to recap. It's an issue that you feel strongly about that's somewhat current, that you can find information on online. It is an opinion you have one way or the other. You can imagine that somebody would disagree with you. It doesn't have to be pro, con, for, against, agree, disagree. It can be somewhere in between. And we're going to see that with some of the essays that we're going to be reading, including this first one about Hopper. The essay should be the usual Should be closer to 4 pages than 3 because it's got secondary sources. It's got a works cited page. It's following the MLA format. There is a sample here. Again, it's attached to the first page of either Blackboard or Moodle. And that's it. This little video went longer than I thought it would go. There's a lot to say, actually. There's a lot to talk about. So, forgive me for going on a little bit long. I'm going to try to shorten these in the future, but the argument essay is an important one that you know about for future courses. This is the format they use for most essays going forward. The next one I do will be about one of the essays that is an example of an argument, and we'll look at a couple of examples, at least half a dozen of them, I think. Some from the book and some that I'll attach the links for online. I think that's everything. I hope this went well. I hope you can hear it all well. Feel free to play it again. Stop it and go and get this essay on aliens. And again, I'm going to try to do these at least twice a week, I think, is the schedule right now. I don't have a set schedule, but at least twice a week. So stay well, everybody. Again, wash your hands. I hope all of this goes away soon and we can get back into the classroom. Peace.